Alright. Always striving for professionalism. I been working all morning on some paperwork. You can't tell me I don't really put a real effort into solving my problems, because nobody else is doing it for me, even though they're paid to do it. And here's another good point that okay, well, that's the next section that I'm going to be getting to, and that's going to be medical community. But so far right now, I've got where I come from, and what's going on, up to the point of the healthcare. So let's do this, okay? I have been given a comorbid death sentence. ADHD plus BD plus GAD equals SAD. Let me clear that up. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder plus bipolar disorder plus a generalized anxiety disorder and a socialized anxiety disorder that to this day continually or misdiagnosed by just about everyone but me and other people who agree or have given me validity to this. Never put it in document, and would just like emergency room doctors and what do you call them, the nurse practitioners or medical hospital or mental hospital staff. Okay, they're the ones who are supposed to be figuring this out for me, and I should have already figured it out before they entered the field to be making decisions on what's wrong with me and what kind of medication I have to have, or else I'm a bad person. That right there, all fucked up. So, anyway, now it's off to personality disorders. But wait. Bipolar disorder could be an anxiety disorder or the result of one. It's a result of one. I believe that ADHD is a subset of an anxiety disorder, or the prefactor to anxiety disorder, and I believe it is a result of child abuse. I looked it up and saw, is it an anxiety disorder? And they say, no, it isn't. I disagree. I totally disagree. Okay, it may not be validly an anxiety disorder, but the extremes of the abuse in that environment as a child developing is what started the ADHD. Therefore, that's why now you can see why I consider it an anxiety disorder. I do not believe the majority of attention deficit hyperactivity disabled children that become adults is all neurological. I believe it's due to child abuse. Why would a child biologically become hyperactive and always on alert with the short-term memory buzzing nonstop, waiting for something violent or horrific to happen to them if they weren't in a domestically, chronically abusive environment, when they're children? What else could it fucking be? Again, up for discussion, man. Give me a way to say that ADHD isn't from the child abuse. Okay. ADHD appeared when I was in that abusive environment, and all they did was abuse me more, because now my actions are not normal, and that makes their life even harder, so they fucking beat me even more for it. So that turns into a generalized anxiety disorder, because now I understand that I'm being punished for acting weird, but I can't help but act weird because I was abused into acting weird to cope with it. And so now it's a generalized anxiety disorder. Now, everything is always worrying me, wake or night, pleasant experience or not. I'm still just, when is the abuser going to beat me? When is the abuser going to fuck me? When is the abuser going to inject me? When is the abuser going to abandon me? Or abusers. Remember, it was that female named Linda and her boy Toys. Alright? So now we're up to that socialized anxiety disorder. Okay, now that I've got the generalized anxiety disorder, I start to learn to wear a mask, to act a little more appropriately to the others around me, against all of that anxiety and everything. And it works for a little while, but again, continuing in that abusive environment and never getting any treatment for anything, which you wouldn't get in an abusive environment anyway. A little more level. Yeah, it's a little more level. I kept thinking it was tilted a little. But anyway, so it turned into socialized anxiety disorder. Because now I'm always having to wear a mask. I would imagine it would have been easier if I didn't have to wear the mask all the time, like I'm doing right now, or like I used to do up until recently. I used to wear a mask around people and then just be myself when I'm alone. But when you're a child, unless you're abandoned, you're never alone. You never have that chance to be yourself. So you're always wearing that mask. Developed with a socialized anxiety disorder. That's what wearing that mask is about, I believe. Okay? It's always watching your own actions around others. And that, again, right into that attention deficit. How on earth can you pay attention to everything when you're paying attention to yourself against all of your natural, eccentric behavior because of this child abuse? Alright? That's why I believe that the bipolar disorder could be an anxiety disorder or the result of one. Well, I looked it up, and sure enough, it's got to be a result of of an anxiety disorder. And again, I believe the bipolar disorder was a result of the ADHD going or getting. Basically, I got abused more when I became ADHD, and that turned into the bipolar because I don't know I'm doing any wrong, but these adults are telling me I'm doing wrong. So now I've got this conflict, and it messes with my emotions. And so now I don't know whether to be happy or sad because I feel happy, but everybody else is telling me I should feel sad. You see what I'm saying? You do that at that stage, and then bam, bipolar. Okay, now I'm bipolar. My emotions are way out, but now I've got to fucking rein them in, like I said, and hold all this in so that I don't get beaten even more, because you never know when it's coming. That's generalized anxiety disorder, and again, off to socialized anxiety disorders. In fact, they're very closely related, and it's all child abuse. All child abuse. Prove me wrong. I know you guys are going to try to, because you guys love child abusers and you love supporting child abuse. But any of you that, that follow the 10 Commandments. Let's see. Alright, now I'll stop explaining and I'll just read, because I got real good once I got to this point. Because like I said, this is a building experience for me, because got to do what I got to do if I want to take these child abusers down and try to prevent them from doing this in the future. And I'm not talking about the ones that did it to me. They got off free. that's another problem that I'll read about here in a minute. Alright, so let's stop that and start this. I didn't choose these extreme emotions into cycling. I do everything to keep a good personality but fail. So, personality disorder fits as well. So, what's the real deal? Okay, it seems like defect autism at birth, then the abuse turned to ADHD, abused even worse for this development, it turned into bipolar disorder, personality disorder, that caused the abuse to intensify, causing the generalized anxiety disorder, all while implanting the roots of socialized anxiety disorder. I don't think planting the roots, yeah, and expanding them. Fuck that shit. I didn't. Anyway, then the state removed me and put me in a mental hospital by the age of 5. This is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD, a completely totally different category from what everybody else calls PTSD. PTSD is temporary and easy. There ain't fucking shit to it. I know I fucking deal with PTSD events as a commonality. If you understand what I'm saying. Like this, the police, PTSD. I get to court, I fix it, do some drugs, whatever, I'll get over it. Alright? This is going to happen again in the future, PTSD. This has happened in the past, PTSD. Okay? The cycle of instilling PTSD on me and getting over it is amazing that I'm doing this on my own and y'all just fucking victimizing me and punishing me and hating me for it. You all fuck offs because you won't ever admit that it's complex post-traumatic stress disorder that's causing you to create more post-traumatic stress disorder situations as I go through life. Remember that, humans. Alrighty, Zane. Let's see. And I finished it off with, I could have been aborted. I could have been aborted. Especially when they found out I was missing 20% of my brain and this woman was sick. She had drug abuse problems. She had all kinds of disorders. All kinds of fuck shit going on with her. And yet they let her have this baby without being able to pay for it and keep it. It's a defective baby and this is a defective mother. Whoop! Wrong! Those two need to go polar opposites the moment it's detected. And like I said, I got documents for birth with the 20% abscess. Just don't even start that fucking shit with me, humans. I am so sick of you guys always fucking... How can you put... Oh, fuck this limited storage space on that mobile device. But at least it ended at a good time right when I was on my first page. But still, I wanted to make this all one. So I guess I can, edit. But it would be nice to be all on one camera. But, here's some more perspective. Alrighty, Zane. So, why was I not aborted? Or at least taken from that female and her put in a fucking facility? Because really, that would have been fair. That would have been equal. That would have been justified. That would have been moral. That would have been disciplinary. That would have been humanitarian. No. You let her get away with it and you gave the baby back. Knowing she's already fucked up and this baby's now fucked up. Why? Hashtag BFB. What is hashtag BFB? Babies for benefits. That's right. The government systemically allows this type of shit to happen to children to buy votes. It's a leftist, communist thing. It is completely anti-American. It is completely ungodly. And it violates everything in the Ten Commandments. Alright, let's see. What is BFB? Why does it cause extremely high rates of child abuse and the extremes of those child abuses? See, doesn't just cause child abuse, it causes extremes in those child abuses. Do you see the pandemic? Do you see the tragedy? Do you see why I'm so passionate to do something about it? Because not only is it just increasing the rate of it, it's increasing the extremes. And I know I've been through it all. I'm a living example of it. Alrighty then. BFB stands for Babies for Benefits. The direct cause for this child abuse pandemic and promotion is welfare and child support. I got one. Hashtag DAC or hashtag LAC, which stands for hashtag Democrats Abuse Children, which is synonymous with hashtag Leftists Abuse Children. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you're a Democrat, a modern Democrat, you're a leftist. If you're a leftist, you're pro-Marxist and anti-American. If you're a pro-Marxist, anti-American, where was I going with that? Anyway, my point is, you can't call yourself politically correct, or social justice warrior, or leftist, or Democrat. Anything on that side now isn't just a little scale. No, it's a. If you're a Democrat, you're a leftist. If you're a leftist, you're a Marxist. If you're a Marxist, you're an anti-American. And you're all of these and one of these all at the same, and we call it child abusers. You are a child abuser, or you promote child abuse and the legality of it. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Alright, then we got hashtag TTT and TTO. Alright. Why could hashtag TTO and maybe hashtag TTT be real solutions? Well, it stands for take the ovaries and take the testicles. I believe this should be forced on anyone not reproductively responsible. If you can't pay the bill, the hospital bill for delivery, the baby is not yours and is removed. You do not get to take care of that baby if you haven't got yourself to the position to be able to pay that hospital bill and premeditatedly prepared to have that child. Then the ovaries are taken because you're a victim of child abuse. You had the baby when you couldn't afford it. You already abused that child by conceiving it. Your ovaries are gone. That's it. Any sexual irresponsibility, your ovaries are gone. For life. It's it. It's over. On the equal flip side, a genetic test is mandatory, and the male is then forced to have his testicles removed as well. No exceptions. Hey, we could be on our way to redemption with this. Now what to do with child abusers? Again, part of the complex that keeps me suffering non-stop, all day, every day, in every way. I'm a child abuse victim. I've done good in my life. I shouldn't be suffering non-stop all day, every day, especially when there's treatments and things out there. And for the most part, humans just need to stop hurting each other and be humanitarian. But all right, now what to do with child abusers? I believe in the death penalty. It will solve the problem both short and long term, and fix a lot of what is wrong with our economy and healthcare at the same time. Let's discuss this, because I already know some of you are going to argue, and I've already got my points backed up with fact, knowledge, research, and I'm ready to engage. Come on, bring it. This needs to be especially true, the death penalty for sexual abuse or physical trauma. You punch your baby, or you molest or fuck your baby, going to the death penalty. End of story. No ifs, ands, or buts. And it's immediate death penalty too. It's not like put them in prison for 10 or 20 years. No, it's like within a undeniable, provable conviction of this, within 12 months, or even 60 days, you're gone. It's over. You're done. You're going to hell, where you belong. These humans cannot be healed and need to be sent to hell immediately. Stop paying these humans to hurt children. The Democrats buying votes, using welfare, and child support. Yeah, putting men in prison and leaving these irresponsible, the females who actually committed a child abuse. You see, your body, your rights fucking shit. And that female gets pregnant, it's her fault. It's the male's fault as well, but is the female's responsibility. That male should never have anything to do with child support. If the female wants to get pregnant, she should make sure that man is involved in their life, and she should be able to do that on her own. There doesn't need to be any kind of weird contracts or anything like that. But the Democrats don't want that. The nuclear family does not belong. Males belong in prison or on the slave farm, and females belong popping out babies and abusing them to incorporate them into this system. Sounds like a wonderful existence to me, doesn't it? Ugh. Alrighty then. So, stop paying these humans to hurt children and end welfare and child support. Oh, and also end access to health care you cannot afford. You can't afford the health care. There is no taking care of you and then giving you a bill. Or, and maybe in an EMS situation, you get the bill and you start making payments on it. If you don't, next time you call that ambulance, it's like, well, you're not even making payments on your last one? We can't send an ambulance out to you. Click. Not shitting you. And I'll explain why that makes a lot of sense in a moment, in another video. Alright, fuck it. This is it. I just called yesterday for treatment for my ADHD and my bipolar disorder. I found a treatment center that's going to address those two in particular and then work on the anxiety disorders. Got it all the way through until they said, well, we don't accept your insurance. What good is insurance for then? I was like, all right, look, I get $1,050 in disability, I'm willing to give it all of that to you for treatment. They're like, well, you understand this is inpatient for 30 days. I said, okay, that, you know, I'm not saying I'm not capable of that. So, where do I sign up? Well, you need $24,000. Well, that's almost 2 years of my income if I live penniless. And then I have to wait that long to go there for that treatment. If everything worked right, I'd have still had a job, and I'd be able to occupy myself with that, saving up to $24,000 to get this done. If this is the way it would have been presented to me 13 years ago when I first started having seizures. Or if I could have got a loan for that $24,000 and worked it off, but got to that treatment center and then got back to work. Could have taken $24,000 one time to get me on my own and solve this problem I have for what it's worth. Nope. Instead, you spend $35,000 to $100,000 on a single, or well, I take it back. You spend between $10,000 and $30,000 on a single seizure episode, generalized seizure episode. When I don't want that help, somebody else called that for me. They should be responsible for it if they really care that much. Two, again, $10,000 and $30,000 hospital bills coming every other month, and I'm only making, you know, between $13,000 and $14,000, about $14,000 a year, you know, take home. And I'm over here feeding this fucking, you know, $600 to $800 a month of fucking, you know, marijuana and then eventually synthetic cannabis fucking habit, self-medicating this because just there is no help out there, man, for child abuse victims. They fucking want you to suffer tragically and cause so much devastation and horror and just grow up to abuse more children. That's all they want. Ugh. Alright, I'm sorry. I fucking went off in the wrong direction. But you see my point. One time, $24,000, if all of this would have been just brought up and no stigma and no misdiagnosis and none of this fucking stupid ass goddamn fucking bullshit, instead of being $3 to $5 million in hospital debt, I'd have paid a $24,000 hospital bill out of pocket and been on the and recovered long time ago. And now I'm on disability and in poverty, and that treatment gone. Ain't no way I'm getting it. $24,000 up front. Ain't no way I'm getting it in this lifetime without winning a lawsuit. In fact, I need to tell my dad that. If he's gonna, because he really doesn't want me filing lawsuits because he doesn't want me being this millennial, you know, whatever. But he has to accept me as an activist against child abuse. And part of this activism against child abuse, you know what I'm saying, is involving these lawsuits. They have to be done. That's the only way to discipline the people in authority that are encouraging the systemic abuse of children. I need to explain that to them. You know what I'm saying? This is a country founded on freedom and rights. Every time they call it, they call an ambulance when I have a seizure, and then force me, they expect me to pay that $10,000 to $35,000 hospital each time. Let's not even include the fucking Baker Acts. You know what I'm saying? You expecting me to pay all those bills? I didn't make the choice to do it, and I can't afford them. I don't want it. And 9 out of 10, or even greater, 19 out of 20, I didn't even need it. It was totally useless to come on the scene, pick me up, haul me off to the hospital, and then force me to find a way back to my job or back home, you know, back to my job to go get in my vehicle and drive home. And of course, you know, after the second time that happened and I wrecked my vehicle, or after several times that happened and I wrecked my vehicle, there goes my license. So now I'm walking everywhere. And my feet are fucked up for birth defect too. I can't walk more than a few miles without my feet just fucking aching and starting to blister up to the point of bleeding. And I bet y'all love it. I bet y'all love watching this suffering. You're probably getting off on it. However, like I said, this is a country founded on freedom and rights. Well, when are we going to uphold these rights of our most vulnerable, like we do the real criminals and abusers? Where's the equality? Where's the justice? It's lost in politics and vote buying and manipulation. Amen. Let's pause for reflection. Like I said, Democrats promote child abuse. The Democrat has become an extreme leftist and nothing else. These are Marxist. You know what? That's one for next video. This is almost 20 minutes. Let's start again. Alright. Pause for reflection. Democrats promote child abuse. The Democrat has become an extreme leftist and nothing else. These are Marxist / communist, or actually, in parentheses, communist. Okay, these are communist, Marxist, socialist terrorists who have infiltrated our country. I had said civil war, but they are not really Americans. They are anti-American terrorists, for real. Keep in mind, terror comes in many forms. Some are subtle and discreet, yet are just as devastating. And of course, paying immigrants to vote when anyone not an American citizen is not legally allowed to vote? Well, the fault of us Republicans is allowing it to get so out of control. The war really is capitalism versus communism. Don't tread on me. And yes, I am xenophobic of the Chinese. Whatever. Fuck the Chinese and its population. And then we're going to get back into the comorbid death sentence part 2. Stigma. You know what? Fuck that. I'm adding this to the last video, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go to comorbid diseases in a separate category. Again, strive for freshness. So. Alright, continuing on with the comorbid death sentence, part 2. Stigma. What is stigma? It is victim shaming. Blaming the abuse victim for the abuse and expect them to be perfectly normal, and if they can't do it on their own, it's their fault too. Do you understand? Blaming the abuse victim for the abuse. Meaning you got abused, but it's your fault you got abused. If you were perfectly normal, then you wouldn't have been abused. So you better act perfectly normal so you don't keep getting abused. And when you can't do it, the abuse you receive is your fault as well. Am I clear? Am I clear about what happens to child abuse victims? They are blamed for their child that they got abused as children. They're blamed that they can't act normal. And then they're blamed when the disease is so severe they can't act normal on their own. And then they get mistreated with other people trying to find ways to make them act normal. And then it's their fault when they fail trying to make you act normal. Yeah! Oh! And it just keeps on going to the last sentence. Remember where I'm at now, and remember this last sentence. Alright. Any collateral damage is also the victim's fault. Those hospital bills, when I wrecked my vehicle, having that seizure, if I would have did anything but hit a power pole, I'd have been responsible for whatever damage I caused having a seizure. Even though, Further complicating and entrenching this shamed child abuse victim is the abusers often never get into any legal trouble, resulting in conviction and sentencing. And let's not forget about abandonment issues. That's one of the most tragic and one of the most, really the one of the biggest issues, but is always just tossed off as a non-issue. Well, again, that's just all trying to just ignore child abuse while promoting it. You know, but yeah, the abusers almost never get into any legal trouble resulting in conviction and sentencing. And when they do occasionally have to pay for their criminality, they get off easy. While I have sat in jail for long periods of time for odd and eccentric, legal, non-criminal encounters with neurotypicals. So where's the equality? Why do I spend long periods of time in jail for legal, non-criminal behavior when these child abusers often go unpunished? Why? Comments below. I want your answers. I'm not even going into this. I want your answers. Please. Why do they get to get free and I spend long periods of time in jail for non-criminal, completely legal, non-criminal behavior that's literally just me coping with everything on top of me and no real help at all on this fucking planet except my parents, you know, and my friend, my family and my friend. And even then, they're just severely limited in what they can do for me. I really am on my own. So, here we go. Again, and that's all abandonment issues. You know, like I said, I'm in social isolation right now, even though I want to go say hi to my groupies over in town and just have a little change of scenery. Nope. It's what? Thursday? My court dates. What, Tuesday, Wednesday? Shit, I still got another 5 or 6 days ago to court. And again, time goes by so slow because alright. Okay, the result is trauma and suffering are off to an exponent of infinity. Now we'll get into the healthcare system.